Hey everyone, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host Elio, and we are here with the brilliant Nick from Midland Railway. Welcome, Nick.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. So, Nick, for those who don't know, could you introduce yourself and what you do within the band?
Right, so I am the singer and guitarist in Midland Railway, and I write most of the songs as well. Yeah, so I guess it's quite a big part of the band. Also in the band with me are we have Kat, who was she was in the. If any of you want to watch the video from our last chat, which was back in June, Kat was on there. She plays the bass, and we have Travis on the drums and Olivia on the guitar.
Cool, cool. So it's been a while since we last spoke. So what have you been up to?
Probably the biggest thing that we've done as a band since our last conversation was we released a new single on the 25th of October, which has been one of our most popular so far. It's called Unwavering Optimism. So if you it's really short, it's 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So if you hate it, the absolute worst thing that can possibly happen is by listening to it is that you lose 2 minutes and 11 seconds of your life. But it's available to stream on all the vaguely popular streaming platforms. So please go and have a listen as soon as the interview is over.
Cool.
But it's we've had lots of radio plays, and it seems to have gone down really, really well, which is always nice when people appreciate what we're doing. And then this weekend coming up, we're actually back in the studio to get some more recordings. So that it'll be probably early next year before any of them come out. But it's good to have them in the pipeline, and I'm quite excited about them. So yeah, so we're sort of staying busy on the recording front. We've been doing quite a bit of rehearsing. Those of you who have been following the band kind of closely might have noticed we haven't done a huge number of gigs recently. It's been actually a really weird year for us in a lot of ways, because so at the start of the year we released our debut album, which had been that had taken so many hours and years of like putting everything together gradually, and then hours of trying to get it all to fit together and work as an album. And it's the first time we'd done it, so it was all quite a new experience. And finally released it, and it was and yeah, it's been a pretty really exciting year on the release front. But on the live front, we've had a lot of lineup changes. There's still been some big highlights within there, but there's just been a variety of different reasons that different people have left, and it's I feel like we spent a lot of the year having to sort of, I guess, kind of help new people learn the songs, and I think, but now we have our brand new lineup, and I'm kind of feeling good about things at the moment, going into the studio, and then we've got and then we're going to be doing quite a few more gigs early next year. So I think hopefully the things will be a bit more lively on the live front, as well as having some more releases to come.
Cool. So, could you tell us a little bit about the single that you released back in October?
Yeah. So, how do I describe it? It's a bit different to anything we'd released previously, actually. I mean, it's one of our, well, it was a lot newer than any of the songs on the album, because most of those had been in the works for quite a long time before the album came out. Whereas Unwavering Optimism, only started writing it last summer, and it was. And I remember it was kind of inspired by it's sort of that kind of situation where you're really hoping that something's going to kind of work out well this time, but every time you've been in a situation before like that, it's all gone horrifically wrong. So, but it's almost like it's so important to kind of keep keep that sort of hope alive somehow, that whatever you're working towards, or is going to hopefully work out this eventually. And I remember, last summer we had it was the World Cup. It was the Euros going on, wasn't it, last summer? And England was so close to finally winning it, but but then the same result again. We had the general election, which and those had all been going the way of the Conservatives in previous years, but that did actually change last year. And I was also thinking, but I deliberately kept the lyrics really, really vague so people can apply them to whatever seems kind of appropriate in whatever they're dealing with in life. Like it's very relevant with relationships, for example, or if if things keep on going horrifically wrong, well, your options are you give up or you kind of keep trying and kind of hope that things will improve. Or and I guess you could also apply it to like job situations in work or careers and things. I guess it was a big departure from my normal lyric writing style, because I usually try and make the lyrics really, really specific, because I find that actually that's quite a good way of making the song feel really real and almost changes it from being a really abstract concept to like a thing that ideally where you almost feel like like you're there and you're part of it. That's the idea. Whether that works, I guess you can. That's see what you think. But whereas this one, I mean, I remember before writing it, I'd been in a bit of a kind of songwriter block type of situation where I think I was just overthinking everything and trying to make everything too perfect almost, and I deliberately tried to just not overcomplicate anything. Where like the chord progression is like ridiculously simple as well, and in a way keeping the basics of it quite simple actually made more space for the fills. It's quite and the song kind of really rocks out. And I remember the first time that we played it live, we actually got a message from someone who had been there, being like, "I can't find that song you opened with on Spotify." And I was like really brand new, like we'd never played it before ever. But I was kind of like, oh, the fact that people are asking for it and asking where they can hear it, this is a really good sign. This shows that there's something up, that we've got something, that we're onto something.
Yeah, true. So you mentioned that you've been sort of like in the studio. So could you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing?
Oh, well, it's future tense actually. We're starting the recording on Friday, so 2 days time. So we've got these two songs that those of you who anyone watching who has been to a few of our recent gigs might know them. One of them is might actually be the nerdiest song I've ever written. It's called All Day Epic Warhammer, and it's a song which is basically all about a really big battle, which the song goes into really great detail about exactly what's going on. It's got a really catchy tune though, I think, and it's really fun to play. And I'm really curious to see how it goes down. I've got an idea as well for a video that we can make on a really low budget that I think will bring it to life even as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to record it. The other one we're going to record is a very old song called Hair Song, which was that was actually based on a song. This is a song that started out as something written by our very first bass player when we first formed the band all those many years ago, and we sort of after this sort of goes into the long story of the band so far, but it used to be a set regular, and then after David, our first drummer, after he passed away in 2018, we didn't kind of add it back to the set initially because I guess because all the other songs were ones where to an extent I could play something on the guitar and sing, and everyone else could follow along to an extent. With this one, that doesn't really work so well, so it sort of got put on the back burner a bit, and then just never quite made it back. It was like, oh, we'll bring it back into the sets in a few months' time or whatever, and it just never really happened until this year. So we started playing it again this year, and it's it feels like we should have that one recorded just for like to have a to complete the back catalogue. So we've got a brand new song and a never before recorded song that isn't so new.
Cool. Would you sort of like well, have you got any plans on putting the two songs that you're going to be recording onto a EP or an album?
Yeah. So now I suppose that the unknown before you go into the studio is always, well, will it come out? How will it come out compared with what you have in your head going when you go in there? And usually, I suppose now if they come out the way that I've got in the way I have in my head at the moment, I think All Day Up at Warhammer will probably be our next single, probably quite early in the new year. I mean, we have had some songs where we've gone into the studio to record them, and then it just hasn't sounded the way we wanted it to. You never quite know how the whole process will go. So I'm a little bit nervous about that at the moment. But at the same time, the producer who we're working with, he's done a really good job on the recordings we've done with him previously. So yeah, I think if it doesn't sound good, it won't be because of a lack of effort anyway, or a lack of talent on that front. So.
Cool.
But yeah, so I think now, Unwavering Optimism, our most recent single, isn't on any album or EP of any sort. So with these next two, we'll be kind of starting to get towards something that might be able to be the basis of our next album or EP. So early days yet, but it's I guess it's almost like having finally released that first album at the start of the year. It's almost like feels like that's a chapter that's finally, where we can finally move on. And not there's anything against the songs on the album. It's just that we've been working on those for so long. It is, and I was kind of itching to do some new stuff for a while. But it was almost like, well, you can't really, it's a bit like in school dinners when you can't move on to the pudding until you finish your main course. It felt a bit like that sort of situation. And now that the main course is finished and it's come out and it's our first album, we can, now the challenge is to see what can we make next. And now I suppose we don't have this like back catalogue of songs I wrote years ago that we haven't recorded properly that we can record, and then because while they weren't new to us in the band, they were new to the people that were hearing it mostly. But now the songs that we're releasing are new to us too, generally. And there's a bunch of different song ideas I've got that we kind of have to, I guess, probably just practice lots and try performing and sort of see what develops into songs that are worthy of being on the next album. Really, I think that's always I think the trial and error part is a really important part of the creative process. Like, not all your ideas are going to be brilliant. That's just the reality, isn't it? And you have to be willing to try things, I think, in order to and sometimes fail in order to sometimes hopefully try different things which work out well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a bit like it is trial and error on a lot of parts and a lot of things in life.
Do you think there's something as well about like not trying, in a way you want to like not be scared to fail, because if you don't, if you're like, oh my god, I can't, this has to be like, this can't go wrong, you don't give yourself the scope to to try out different things which may or may not work, and that's so important.
Yeah, sometimes I know sometimes in life I've found anywhere is to sort of like try something, fail at it, and then learn from that experience to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when I think back to some of the earlier recordings, when we got the band back together in 2021, and the first recording that we did was the Pokemon Adventure, and looking back, Neil Shepherd, who produced that one, he was so patient with us, and because we made these like so many really embarrassing mess ups. Like one of them was just that from the guide track and the drum beat, the song structure was like completely wrong, and then we just had to like digitally try and correct that before like adding the other different parts. But we didn't, rather than just checking that everything was right, we just started recording the other parts, and then it was like, hang on, why doesn't it's almost like why doesn't this all fit quite right? And there were loads of bits where we just, I don't know, by making really basic mistakes initially, we made it so much more complicated further down the line, but we got there in the end. And and I guess like, you know, there's a I think that I do think as a band we've learned from even when the recordings have come out really well, there's often a lot we've learned from the process.
Cool. Right. We've got a question from the chat. Ozzy, Queen of the Roos, all the way from Australia. She
Hello.
asks, how did you come up with the band's name?
Oh, by the way, interesting fact. Our record label is actually based in Australia. Our label manager's she's over in Brisbane. So I don't know how big Brisbane is, and if you're likely to know her. I know that Australia doesn't have that many people, so there's a decent chance. But there's right. So the band's name. Now we're based in Manchester in the UK, and I'm originally from Birmingham, and we wanted to come up with. Well, it was in that sort of we need a name. What are we going to call ourselves? Sort of thing. It was. It wasn't like a very carefully planned kind of this is a really good band name. We should form a band to call it this. It was nothing like that at all. I like the idea of naming ourselves, of giving us some kind of train theme name because there's a few factors. It works quite well it allows you to make lots of really nerdy jokes, but it's not such a silly name that people don't take the serious song seriously. And then within different train-related possible band names, well, the Midland Railway served Manchester and Birmingham. It just fits. It's quite a nice number of syllables for a band name. It's not too much of a mouthful, but it's not too short either. And the Midland Railway, depending on, you might already know this, depending on what you know about British railway history, but they merged with the London North Western Railway in 1923 to form the London Midland Scottish Railway, and they had a really distinctive maroon livery, which sort of gave the railway company a bit of distinctive colour, which is also quite a nice thing to have in a band as well. You want a bit of a sort of recognisable look and colour scheme. So it's sort of they just seem to fit what they seem like quite a good fit. And the first couple of gigs we played, it was kind of let's try that. Let's try out playing under that band name, see how it goes. And then after a couple of gigs, people were like, I couldn't imagine you playing having any other band name now. So the band name has stuck, and I've become very fond of it over the years. It'd be hard to imagine us being called anything else.
Cool. Thank you for that, Ozzy. Lisa has said love trains.
What's your favourite type?
Yeah. What's your favourite type there, Lisa?
Yeah, these details are important.
Yeah, it does. Personally, I like the sort of like say the early steam, like the Stevensons. Stevensons.
There's like a replica of one of the really early some of the really early steam locomotives at the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry, actually, which you can go for like little rides behind them. It's and I mean they look so different to even just slightly later steam engines. They from like the late 19th century onwards, they still had a fairly distinct, recognizable shape that really continued until they were replaced by diesels. But yet the really early ones, it's almost they've got all the sort of random pistons sticking out, and it's they're very very odd engines. They have I guess they look a bit more steampunk, don't they? The really early ones.
Yeah, I think I know Guy Martin did a series over on Channel 4 in the UK for those people who are living in other countries. Guy Martin is a big motorcyclist and diesel mechanic. And he has won several occasions for the Isle of Man TT. He also is a big lover of history, and he did for the 200th anniversary this year. Built a new version of the Stephenson's Locomotive 1.
Cool. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, and I watched it. It was absolutely interesting, really interesting. Plus, one of my local museums, like an open air museum, has got something similar to the Stevenson's Locomotive One on the grounds and working, and people can travel up and down on it.
Well, one of the very first railways in the country was the Stockton and Darlington line, wasn't it? Which is over your way.
Yeah, it's just down the road from me.
And then the first like intercity one was the Liverpool to Manchester Railway, which is over by me. so we're in the right spots as far as really key steam engines, early steam line.
Yeah, it's like where I live. It's like got a lot of history connected to the railway, or the wagon ways, I should say, because the early train tracks started off back in the early 18th century.
Yeah,
so
one of the originally before anyone thought of trying to put a steam engine on there. And the early steam engines, they were just used for pumping water, weren't they? Which is far less exciting. In fact, the really early steam engines on wheels do look a little bit like the old the pumping sort of steam engines, just on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, that's when the first steam trains anywhere first came about. Was just static engines to pump water. Ooh, what would happen if I stick that on some wheels?
Yeah,
pretty much. That's what they thought. That was back in like the 18th, early 19th centuries. Was like the heavy.
Right. Yeah. And it was Richard Trevithick was the first built the first one, didn't
he? Yeah.
Actually, is that right? He built the rocket, which is the really first. That wasn't actually the very first steam engine on wheels. I'm not trying to get. There might be someone.
Yeah,
I'm sort of cutting out and back in, but hope you can hear me okay now.
Anyways, the first proper passenger train as we know today as passengers was 1825, but it was like a lot of stuff went on before that, before we got to like what we know today type of thing. So,
well, so that was the Liverpool to Manchester line, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, I think it was the cargo. I think it was the cargo ones before. Like transportation of cargo, but also the first sort of like real passenger train was like the Darlington to Stockton line.
There was people had all sorts of theories about would people pass out if they go too fast on the train? Because no one had ever been at those speeds before. In it,
I think I think the top. Yeah, I think the top speed for the first trains.
Strange thought these days.
Yeah, I think the top speed of the first trains was something like 5 miles an hour, something like that, 4 or 5 miles an hour.
They got faster quickly though. I think because on the opening day of the Liverpool to Manchester line, there was one of the I think he was either a local councillor or an MP, and he he got hit by the train and killed, which is pretty tragic. But but it was the train, because people just weren't used to the concept. They weren't familiar with the concepts of things going that kind of speed where you would need where there would be any risk of being hit by them. So I think they were only traveling like 30 to 40 miles an hour, that sort of speed. But I guess that's that's enough. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you're not watching out for it.
Sorry, guys, we're just sort of like nerding out here, talking about trains, but it's all good. Listen.
Oh yeah, it's So I mean, I would imagine. I would hear people talking about trains and think, oh, I totally want to go and listen to that guy's band now. I mean, if that's what the people watching or listening are thinking, then hopefully they'll all go out and check out our recordings. And Gabby the cat seems to want to come and get involved. She's I don't know if I can bring her into the picture. I think she's just trying to get fed, but there she is. Oh, she's like, no, I'm not coming in the picture. Oh, fine.
Yeah, Lisaboo said old school steam. She,
we were talking very old school with those the very early ones.
Yeah,
but the sort of golden age, the golden age is often considered to be the interwar period, isn't it? When you had the different the four private companies all kind of trying to outdo each other, and that was when you got when all the records got broken, and the sort of that was like the really when the trains first started to really reach some really impressive speeds.
Yeah, plus like with the advent of the Orient Express as well, back in the I think it was the 1920s, where it was like the golden age, 1920s to 30s.
Yeah, because by then the railways weren't just popular in Britain, were they? And the Orient Express took several different forms. I remember Michael Portello did a recent Great Continental Railway Journeys episode about it, where it's sort of going on the modern day version, but it's debatable which one, where it has to go to properly be worthy of that name.
Yeah, it does. It's I've watched quite a few of the Great British and the Continental trains with Michael Portello. He does not only talks about the trains, but the actual history of the towns that he passes through.
Oh yeah. It's I mean, if he'd gone straight into TV presenting instead of trying to be a politician, that might have been that might have worked out way better. But yeah, he's a fantastic TV presenter. It's there's something very calming about his TV programs, actually, like the railway ones. There's always a very very like relaxing piano based soundtrack as well. So this is Gabby the cat. She's named after Gabby Abokor, who is still the Villa's all-time record goal scorer for just a little bit longer, unless Ollie Watkins breaks the record this season.
Yeah, Lisa says kitty. And Ozzy says, "Oh, cute."
And I live with two. We have Teddy, who's sat behind the computer as well. She's not actually now. So some of you watching might know that most popular song in terms of overall numbers of streams by some way is called "She Loves Ted Bundy," and that's not actually named after Ted. So Teddy the cat isn't actually named after Ted Bundy. It's just that her personality is kind of that of a teddy bear. But the last line of the song, which is "She loves her favorite's head," is kind of applies when it comes to the cat. As it sort of works on multiple levels. You see, there's a lot more depth to that song than people think.
Yeah, cool. We've got a question which is train related. Gian has just asked, "Do you know why steam trains stopped running?"
I do. It was simply that they were far more labor intensive and therefore far more expensive to run than diesels. So if you want to haul a train with a steam engine, then you have to fire up the engine like hours before to get the coal fire burning and everything. There's the engines they're like really dirty. You have to replace the boiler every few years. There's they are like really really labor intensive. A diesel engine in contrast, you put the keys in the ignition and switch it on a bit like a diesel car, and you can do that 5 minutes before before you need to go and connect it to the train. So
yeah. I was going to say
it's money and efficiency. That's basically what it was. It was a long time. Well, because the first diesel engines appeared in Britain. The sort of the steam engines started being phased out. The famous very famous steam engine on the East Coast Main Line, and that did 126 miles an hour, and that record wasn't broken until the late 70s by an City 125, which obviously went faster than 125 miles an hour. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been the 126 mile an hour record. But yeah, so the early diesels were were comparably slow, in fact, compared with the steam engines, but they were still just much easier to run, and over time, they've become much more powerful and faster than the steam engines as well. And there's been a few different experiments to see what can, how amazing can you make a steam engine perform with like one technology. And I don't know if like Tornado, which is one of the engines that runs on national network sometimes, that's had a different call, say, the 800s, which we've got on the main lines now.
Yeah, cool. Jane just said, thanks for answering. That's always what I wanted to know.
Yeah, hope that answers the question? Oh, on the tube, of course, dirt was a big factor. So on the tube, but not the underground, they got replaced by electric.
Looks like Nick's breaking up there. So
you're welcome.
Yeah.
I think that's why people watch interviews with them, right? And trains.
Yeah. Right.
These pairs are coming from if my friends picking up, but.
I've got. Have you ever had a thought of writing a song about trains? Actually, about say the Flying Scotsman or the Mallard or one of the diesels?
Oh, sorry. I think there was a bit of an internet glitch, and you sort of cut out my question. Would you be able to repeat that for me, please?
Yeah. Would you ever write a song about trains, such as, like, say, the Flying Scotsman or the Mallard or one of the diesels?
Oh, so you're like stopping and then starting, and I'm not getting any sound coming through. Sorry, this is a bit of a technical glitch.
Yeah,
I suspect.
technical. Sorry about that.
Try again.
Yeah. Would you ever write a song about the Flying Scotsman, the Mallard, or one of the diesels? Oh, sorry about this, guys. Bear with me. I just got to refresh.
I heard as far as would you. Yeah. Leave and come back.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, please, yeah. Sorry about this, guys. We're having a bit of tech issues with the internet. Hopefully, hopefully we'll get sorted out. So bear with us. Can you hear me all right now?
Hello. Hopefully, you can hear me again now.
Yeah, I can now.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much better. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know if that was a thing at my end. It just decided that it was as if this computer was just like, no, this is not going to work, and I got the pages become a responsive thing. So I've gone out and back in and see if it. crossing my fingers, hoping it's fixed fixed whatever the problem was. But the question you were
Yeah,
trying to ask me was,
would you ever write a song about trains, i.e., the Flying Scotsman, the Mallard, or one of the Diesels?
Potentially, I suppose. I suppose the thing is with any topic. I mean, this is an interesting thing actually, because my girlfriend will often she'll be like, "Why don't you write a song about?" Okay, she'll just put a topic for it. It's like, okay, but you don't just need a topic with any song. You need a sort of angle to approach that topic from. Otherwise, what makes other to make that's like really interesting. So if we take the with She Loves Ted Bundy, if it was just a song about, if you just write a song just about Ted Bundy, well, that's what does that add to like watching a documentary about him or something? But I think the song works. I think because it's sort of this, it's like describing the kind of bewilderment at this bizarre situation with this girl kind of being completely obsessed with him in a and having all these crazy fantasies about him and everything. So it's sort of so I suppose the question is, with a song about any kind of trains, you would have to have you would have to the thing that would affect that I think would determine how good that song would end up being would be what kind of spin what angle you're approaching the topic from, and I think that would be the key.
Cool. So we've got a question from Lisaboo. She asks, is there any band that you would love to collaborate with?
Oh, there's loads. Yeah. No, I suppose the question is, there's always the would they want to collaborate with me? But I'm trying to think where to start. I suppose, in a funny kind of way, it might actually be more interesting to try and collaborate with bands that sound not too much like us, because that would mean I guess you end up with something a bit more. I guess just more. If you were out with something really similar, well, what are you actually getting that you wouldn't have anyway? So quite electronic based music. When I say electronic based music, things like the Magnetic Fields, they have some really fantastic kind of really miserable like electropop albums that where I don't know, I think they work much better with being kind of synth based than if they were more of a sort of more guitar based, and but I'm not particularly good at creating those kind of sounds, and I'd like to be. It'd be fun to find sounds that I wouldn't be able to think of. Now, in terms of actually thinking of some actual people, let's see. I mean, actually, I really like the Postal Service. They're a band that would that sound really different to us, and I don't know, that I'd like to try and make something a bit like that. Maybe what else? I suppose also some bands have really good form for previous collaborations. Like Bethany Cosentino from Best Coast did a fantastic collaboration with Weezer and a fantastic collaboration with Jimmy Eat World. So she's got good form. She's got form for making good songs with other bands. And I'm gonna have to have a think about this. There's it's interesting actually. There's quite a few. There are a few other bands around Manchester that who I think are making some really good stuff, and I would love to try and collaborate with some of them, but that hasn't happened yet. I suppose you need there's like a level of time. I think people can be very set in their ways when it comes to trying to to make music on a on a like non-professional basis, because you're generally a bit time and money limited, so you can't. It's a lot harder to just to just spend a whole lot of time in a studio just coming up with stuff. It's much more financially efficient to be able to go in there with quite a clear plan of like, okay, I've written this song and I want it to come out in this particular way, and you kind of know what you're doing before you go in there. It's something I would love to do more, but it is difficult practically. Although I suppose in some ways, every song which you're making with a band, there is some level of collaboration with your bandmates always straight away, isn't there? So it's there's always. It can be quite nice when your bandmates find ways of taking a song in a way that you wouldn't have thought of, and it really works. When that happens, that can be really cool.
Cool. Thank you for that, Lisa.
I'd be curious. Who would you like us to try and collaborate with? That'd be a good question to put out to people who are interested in our music, actually.
Oh, now that's a good question. I would say Emerald Sunday from Ireland. There's several on their reaction management. It'd be really pretty cool.
We have like a WhatsApp group for all the bands in there. Actually, I could put
Yeah.
Although I guess there's still like logistical stuff to try and like figure out, but how because a lot they're based up. Well, a lot of them are based up in Scotland. A lot of the other reaction bands, but not all of them. But none of them are anywhere near us though in terms of within England. There's no one else in the northwest, I don't think.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of bands from Ireland are planning on doing something on the mainland UK. Some of them did say they might be getting over to Manchester or Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, one of the nice things about living in Manchester that most bands that come to Britain, there's usually a Manchester date. It always feel if there isn't one, I always feel very unlucky.
Yeah, cool. So, got a question from Ozzy. She asks, which is your most favorite place to play at?
Okay, so my favorite place I've ever played. This is actually quite an easy one. I would pick Manchester Academy 2. And that's just last summer, so 2024, we got to play there it was like the 200 years of the Manchester University Festival, and I've seen so many of my famous bands of my favorite bands play on that stage, and it was a bit surreal, kind of getting to go up there and actually you might think like, well, how different can it be being on a band on a stage that like bands from all over the world play on rather than one of the standard local sorts of stages. It was a lot more different than I would have thought, because just the quality of the clarity of the sound, like everything sounds sort of bigger and clearer, and it was. And they gave us like the full treatment with they were so professional with like making sure that the sound was like basically perfect, and the lighting looked fantastic, and it was and we were playing to this absolutely massive hall of people, so that would I mean I don't know if I'll ever beat that one as far as venues go. That one was definitely special. I mean, but having said that, I think that there's a lot to be said for just kind of embracing the variety and so while like playing Biggest Coolest Message is great, it's I also that year we also played at a it was basically a garden party run by one of the university societies, And that was so, and like the patio in this garden was the stage, and there were, and the grassy bit was like the mosh pit, and that was so much fun. And there's a venue pretty much just up the road from my house called Fuel in Withington, and it's tiny. You kind of go up the stairs, and it's all you don't need that many people for it to just feel like really like really lively, and everything's really close up to the stage, so it just feels like really intimate, and like all the crowd are really involved in everything going on there. So that's that's a venue I absolutely love playing at.
Cool.
And yeah, so I think probably the most for people watching this in such places as Australia, one place that you will almost certainly have heard of is the Cavern Club in Liverpool. And there's this festival that happens every May over there, where the organizer, fortunately for us, kind of really likes the music and keeps on inviting us back. So we tend to play there every May, which and the sort of main backstage at the Cavern Club is pretty cool. It's not the same stage as the Beatles played on, but despite what the Liverpool Tourist Board might like people to leave, because it's sort of it's like on the site next to the original Cavern Club, and actually that's one of the interesting things about it is they always have like 60s and mostly Beatles tribute bands on one of the stages now, and the club didn't get famous because of having tribute acts on there. It became famous because they had bands that no one knew, and one of them happened to go on to become huge, and and that was like the place that one of the first places they got to play. That by only having it's almost like the thing that has become their like main business model is a thing that would, if that had been what they were doing back in the 60s, it wouldn't be famous. So it's sort of, I don't know, there's something kind of ironic about that.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for that, Ozzy. So, is there any plans on bringing out new merch?
New merchandise? That's a very good question. So because we haven't been very active on the gig front recently, we haven't actually got anything new for a little while. The last thing that we added to our range of merchandise much earlier in the year were hats, which it is hat weather, man. So if any of you do want Midland Railway hats, they're available in pink or maroon, and make a very good Christmas present, or maybe a stocking filler. So do feel free to drop us a message if you would like a Midland Railway hat. We've also got hoodies, which are like nice and cozy in the winter, but these aren't new additions to our range, but they are very very staple things to have at this time of year. I do actually have a pretty cool idea for a T-shirt, which I need to actually go and sort out the order for at some point. So I think as far as new merch that we haven't had available previously, I think this might be a watch this space type of answer. I think we will hopefully have some cool stuff soon, but at the moment we still have everything in stock. In fact, the biggest seller recently has been the physical copies of our first album. Which looks really nice. That's from Rare Visman Records, who are based in Cheshire, and and it looks really, really nice. So yeah, if those of you who like the physical copies, that's kind of a good thing to get.
Cool. So you mentioned you're sort of like planning on doing some few more concerts next year. Is there any sort of like, have you got anything sort of like planned?
We do actually, yes. So we have it's Saturday the 28th of February. We're playing at the Star and Garter in Manchester, which is it might be the Manchester venue that I've spent the most time in during my adult life, actually. But I haven't actually played on the stage there since 2007. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That's as part of like a sort of all-day punk event. And now we haven't officially like announced this yet, but we've been putting some plans together to head up to Scotland up in April. So dates and everything to be confirmed. The plan is to play both Glasgow and Edinburgh. So it's likely to be early April. maybe stopping off somewhere on the way up or down. So we might be able to head over to the northeast. Maybe, which would be pretty cool because we've never played over there. So so that's something we should hopefully have some more updates on that soon. So I think it would be nice to do quite a lot of gigs in the just as the weather's starting to improve a little bit in the new year, because I feel like we've got a bit of making up for lost time because we've been so quiet on the gig front the last few months, despite having a new single.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it would be absolutely amazing for you to get over to the northeast, whether it either play Sunderland or Newcastle.
Yeah, it's because we've never played in either, so it's that would be very cool. And feel free to recommend places you think that we should go to, by the way, because I can't claim to know a whole lot about the. I mean, I've heard of a few of the venues up there, but as far as which ones would want us to come and play there, I don't really know a whole lot.
Yeah, I'll message you later with some venues. We've got a message. We've got a question from Ozzy. She asks, any chance for a run of vinyl, even if it's a limited amount?
So that's probably a question for Jason, who runs Vervisman Records. I think it's probably a money thing, partly because you have to be reasonably confident of selling a few to justify the cost of printing them. And I mean, it's interesting. I don't think we're a band that particularly appeal to vinyl collectors. Although, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are lots of people who want our stuff on vinyl and we don't know about it. That's totally possible. But it seems like so we actually have our album on cassette as well, but the CD copies have been way more popular than the cassette ones. And of course, we're on all the streaming sites, but most of the people so as far as I know, most of the people who have wanted physical copies of our music have wanted CDs. But I guess I don't know if there's lots of demand for vinyl ones, then that's something I guess we have to look into. But I don't know how wide the demand is. Maybe the key thing is to try and hopefully get as much of our music out there as possible. The more people hear us, I guess the more chance there is that some of them will want to hear it on vinyl with all the. I mean, although if you do want the vinyl experience, one of our very early recordings, which was on the Late Arrivals EP that came out in the summer, was a song called The Power Game, and that starts out kind of sounding like you're listening to crackly vinyl. So if given that we don't have actual vinyl, maybe that's the next best thing.
But Ozzy says love vinyl, and Lisaboo says vinyl so good, loves the sound.
Did you ever used to watch Mark and Lard? Well, or listen to Mark and Lard on Radio 1? Because they used to have their sketch with Lard's vinyl collection, and it would always skip in ways that made the words sound like swear words. It was like my I don't know. I always think of that now when people talk about how much they like vinyl, which I feel kind of guilty about because it sort of undermines the the love of vinyl to an extent. But it was very funny.
It's just that's just reminded me. Tony Blackburn, when he used to do the pirate radios, he says that when we used to broadcast on the ships in the middle of the North Sea, when there was a massive storm, and he was actually broadcasting, he says that all you could see was the needle skipping over the records, and just everything sort of breaks up. But that was sort of the appeal of the pirate radio, especially in the middle of the North Sea.
Yes, that sounds quite an experience.
Yeah, Tony Blackburn said yes, it was an experience. Mind you, most of the time he was over the side there throwing up. Especially.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd have wanted to be there. I'd have wanted to be there based on that. It sounds memorable, if not necessarily pleasant.
Yeah, that's what he said. It was memorable.
And would that have been better in a? So if that were the Monday version, I guess you could play like, you know, wave files or MP3s or something, or, you know, and they're all things much less affected by the weather, aren't they?
Yeah, true. Where can people find you on social media so they can basically keep up to date?
Oh yes, so on Facebook or Instagram we are at Midland Railway Band, and we have a Linktree page as well. In fact, shall I put the Linktree page in the chat?
The moderators have been putting it. The moderator's been putting it out,
and then that way you can find, and that's got links to. We're on YouTube as well, and if you search Midland Railway and the thing, and then I think is it Midland Railway Band on there as well? I feel like I should know that, but anything that's called Midland Railway and isn't just pictures of trains, you know, you're probably on the right place.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add the link in the tab.
Yeah, the moderators have been putting it
in the tab. That's not what I meant to say. In the chat. So that's the link. That has links to basically everything we've got. So we have on YouTube we've got a few lyric videos for some of our songs. So, you know, that's good if you want to sing along. You can find all our music on all the popular streaming services. So I think Spotify is probably the one that most people are still using, despite there's been a bit of a backlash against them recently, and probably kind of a justified one actually. But it's we're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Amazon Music, but basically Tidal, Deezer, everything that you could realistically want, I think. And we're on Facebook and Instagram. Kat, our bass player, runs a TikTok account for us, which there's a link to it from the Linktree page. I'm not actually sure what's on there. I'm not on TikTok because I don't know, it's just never really appealed to me that much. So I don't know how much I'm missing out. We've also got some links to some live videos as well, including some acoustic performances, and we've got a bunch of reviews up there as well that you can read if you want to see what other people have said about things that we've listened, that we've recorded and played. But yeah, we're most active on Facebook and Instagram, and you know we're not so popular that we don't reply to pretty much all the messages and stuff as well. So feel free to get in touch and let us know your thoughts on things that we're up to as well.
Cool. Sweet. So we're going to be starting to wrap things up in the next couple of minutes. So any last questions, please get them in now. We're going to be starting wrapping things up. Before we go on,
thank you, Lisa.
She's all the way in Canada.
Which part of Canada?
Alberta.
That's because Alberta, of course, I growing up in the 90s, and like when the football moved over to Sky TV, that was when I learned about where Alberta was due to watching lots of wrestling.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if that's what I don't know how you feel about loads of people in Britain associating Alberta with wrestling, but it's was
one of the biggest families in Canada for wrestling is the Hart, the Hart family. With Brett. And
well, I mean, he was like one of my all-time favorites, definitely. So
yeah.
Cool. So it kind of has a special place for that reason.
Cool. I know I've passed this before, but for those who are just sort of like who's just recently joined, have you got any advice for people who want to become a musician, whether for their own personal pleasure or possibly going down the commercial route?
I think we talked about this last time, actually. You know, and no, it's a really interesting. It is a really interesting thing because I remember I think that I remember thinking about this then, and and I think unless you get really, really lucky, things don't happen as quickly as you think they will. like even bands that that sort of spring onto the scene, they've usually been planning, or putting the work in for some time before then. And given that it's a thing that you have to be willing to kind of stick at for a long period of time, I think that finding a way to make the whole experience enjoyable is so like massively important. If even like if also I think it's important to go in with your eyes open about the kind of the financial aspects of making music these days, because it's it is very hard to make money from it. There's bands a lot more famous than we are who still don't make any money from it, and so it, in a way, it has to be a thing that you really want to do and really enjoy, because if you're able to enjoy it enough, then if you make any money, then that's kind of great. But you're not. If you're enjoying what you're doing anyway, in the meantime, then it's kind of still a win-win. I think if you want to make money, there's a lot of ways of making money more easily, even relatively fun, creative ways. Music is really hard on that front, unfortunately. And I mean, the amount that you get for streaming is so small. And then one of the other things that I've actually this year, I've sort of been making a conscious effort to try and just be a bit more sociable and spend a little bit less time just focusing on just playing stuff, because the logic being that that however good the music is, that it's like I still need people to hear it. And actually, if I sort of become overly hermit-like, then I might be writing a bunch of good songs, but much harder for anyone to notice them. And the reality of it is that a lot of the skill, writing, making good music is, I mean, I guess that's always going to be an important part of the process, but getting the music that you made noticed is almost as important, really. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, that I really appreciate you having me on the show, because it does, it helps with that. And that's, it's kind of, if people all over the world, are listening to our music and being interested in what we're up to, then, well, that's a really wonderful thing, and it's much better than our music going out and then just no one hearing it. And so it looks like we've lost Al. So hopefully he'll be back any second.
Yeah, sorry about that. My camera just died on us.
Oh no, that's all right. No need to apologise.
Yeah. So sound advice there. Thank you for that. So we're going to be starting to wrap things up. So have you got any final words?
Oh, I was just still my mind's still on that last question. I was still thinking about, because I suppose I was thinking entirely about original music, but of course there's also other options, aren't there? Like there's tribute bands and like function bands, and yeah, it's and actually, probably the easiest way to make money is probably function bands if you're really good at it. But then that's like the least artistic form of all. I don't know. So yeah, right. Sorry. Final words. I just want to thank everyone who's tuned in for listening, and that's it's much appreciated. Much appreciated the fact that you've spent this time with us, and I hope you. Please do go and check out our recordings and see what you think, and feel free to drop us a message and let us know what you think of it, of them. And at the end of the day, we want people around the world to hear our music. That's kind of one of the reasons that we make it. So thanks for I guess noticing me and therefore and the band during this last hour or so, hour and a bit. Thank you all for having me on as well. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you for coming on, especially at the last minute. So thank you so much for coming on.
No, you're welcome. I wasn't really doing anything else this evening, so it kind of worked out well. I was sort of thinking, should I find something to do? And I was just going to do basically nothing. So this has been good. It's been more fun than doing nothing anyway.
Yeah. So Nick, thank you so much for coming on. And guys in the chat, if you haven't checked out Midland Railway, I'll put all the links in the description, and the moderators. and the moderators have been putting out the links to all the socials and everything. So please go check them out. These guys are absolutely brilliant. So go check them out.
Thank you.
So Nick, thank you so much for coming on. It's been always been a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
No, thank you too. It was loads of fun last time, and it's been really good fun speaking to you again. And it's and I like how much it's always. I always enjoy the way that you know so much about the band and that your listeners have so much interest in what we're doing. So it's it's a show that I would recommend. That I would advise anyone who to come on this show if you get the chance. It's it's really good fun.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of comments. I just had a brain fart there. Where are we? Lisaboo says much love all.
Thanks, Lisa.
Lisa also said enjoyed so much, thank you. And Ozzy says hugs to all.
Thank you.
So guys, we're going to end it there, and like I said, go check out Midland Railway. I'll put all the links in the description. And again, thank you so much, Nick, for coming on.
No, thank you too.
So until next time, guys, we're going to catch you all later.